What's up, everybody? Nolan of Black Diamond Services. Today I'm going to be cleaning a large wool rug with a short fringe. Let's take a look. So this beautiful big rug was in my client's dining room. I haven't done a full inspection on it yet, but one of the first things I noticed is that it is shorter from one side to the other. So little things like that you got to note, let the client know, because they're going to be looking at their rug even closer. So the rug could probably be adjusted a little bit, but you could tell that it's not perfectly straight and it kind of goes in and out a little bit. So my next step is going to be UV light. So we want to find and address any potential urine issues with this rug. This client was told it was a bleeder, so I'm going to treat it for that too after I test it. I'd also like to note that there is damage to the fringe. You can see it's a lot longer over here, and it shortens up, frays, and has been taken off in some areas here. And then kind of same idea on this end here. You can see that it's starting to pull a little bit, not being as tight in some areas, and damage here. She's actually aware of that. She pointed it out to me before I even had a chance to find it. So she's aware of the fringe damage. This is a rug that she got from somebody, and that person told her that it bleeds the color. So like I said earlier, I'm going to test it and see if that's true, and then treat it to help minimize any issues with potential bleeding, and if it does bleed, to make sure I'm able to flush it off the rug so it doesn't become a problem. So my first choice in colors is going to be this red and this blue, the check, and see if it would potentially bleed or crock. And so far, I know if it's going to bleed, it takes much longer than just a couple seconds. But if the colors are going to pull right away, then you can usually know what you need to do next. So maybe it got cleaned in the past by somebody years ago, and they mentioned that it bleeds, and they resolved it at the time. But I'm still going to treat it as such to be sure, because I had a rug the other day that as soon as I did this, it transferred colors immediately. So, and that's just something that the rug maker did, and you got to know what to do to make sure it doesn't cause any additional problems. Alright guys, another one thing I wanted to point out. So at first, I thought this was some bleeding that came from here, but it is also right there and right here, and even sort of right there. So I think it's a design add-on. I was actually getting even more prepared to deal with it bleeding on me, and it being that light blue color, but it's in multiple spots. Now I bet if they repeated it on the other side, we would see it again. So here we go, right there, right there. So this is just part of the design, so you got to look close at it, because it's kind of hard to tell, since this area is dirty too, if that was just some pre-existing dye bleed or if it's part of the rug. So I thought that was interesting. I kind of took a quick look at it without looking around at first, and first initial thought was like, okay, the person was right, it does bleed, and it has bled, and that's what that was. But when you take a closer look around the rug, you find out that that is just a part of it. It's a part of the design. So now I'm not so concerned about it, but I got these 2 5-gallon buckets mixed up with a product called dye release, because I want to be sure. The last rug I did, this pink rug with a long fringe, it didn't look like it was going to bleed, but as soon as I started the drying process, some colors started to move, and I had to fix it. And so I had to go in and use dye release product from Kim Max, and it solved the problem. I hit it a handful of times with it and pushed the colors out, and it fixed the rug. So just things you need to watch out for when you're going to get into these nicer rugs like this, is watch and look for potential bleeding or crocking so you can address it at the beginning. And sometimes it's even best to have this product mixed and ready to go for when you're starting on it. So if it does happen, you can go ahead and flush it out and take care of it right away, and not have much downtime in between setting up to, potentially take care of that problem. And this product mixes very low. It's like 1 ounce per 5 gallons. So for you to use 1 ounce just to be sure on a nice big rug like this is not a big deal. All right, guys, so for some reason, my wireless system is not working with the phone. I got to figure out what is going on, but it is not simply connecting with my phone. Tried something else and it started working, but when it's wireless, it is not working, even though it shows it's connected. So bear with me. I would like to talk about this rug, but I think it's just going to come down to just cleaning it. So if that's all you want to see, then hopefully you skip the first 5 to 7 minutes of content here, so we can just get going on that. So the first product I'm going to put down after I just wetted it out is the dye release. I'm basically just spreading the product, making sure that it's covered the whole rug. Plus I'm also making sure that the excess product is staying on the rug a little longer. So far I'm not seeing any color bleeding or anything else. So that's a good sign. So once I've done the dye release and rinse that out, I'm gonna go ahead and start doing a wool cleaning product to actually clean the rug and see if we can get all these colors to brighten up. Okay, this step is gonna be the wool rug cleaner, LST. Alright, so this is after doing the LST cleaner and squeegeeing it only. It's still wet. Still going to do more to it. But the colors are already brighter. Of course, you on the other side, it's going to look a little different. It's going to be darker, and you're going to see where the wear areas are, because the natural lay of the carpet is that direction to the left of where I'm currently standing. So when I take it back to the client, I'm going to want to lay it down this way entering the room, because that will give it the best appearance for when anybody or herself walk into the room. It's going to look nice. Alright, next up is I'm going to clean the back of it, and let me tell you, flipping this thing is no easy task. It is, I believe it was a 10 by 13, if I remember dimensions right. So what I'm going to do is put the LST cleaner on the back and scrub it again. All right, so we do actually have a little bit of bleeding on the reds. See if you can see it when I run the squeegee over it. All right, so this actually brought me to my next point. I was taught that whatever you have to start with as far as your product, you want to end with it too. So this actually made a ton of sense, because once I cleaned the back of it and I flipped it, we started to see some bleeding when I was pushing the water out from rinsing just the back. So I flipped it over, and then I started squeegeeing the water that had soaked into the rug, and we started to see some bleeding. Hopefully you guys could see it in the little wave I was making with the squeegee, but it was reddish. There's some small red areas all out throughout this rug. And so I used dye release first when I started this rug, and now I'm using it as last. So first in, last out. So that's something I was taught in my class, and it actually proved its point right here and why I should do it, because now I want those dyes to release and move out of the rug, so that way when it dries, it's not a problem. So I'm gonna rinse it now and then squeegee it, probably rinse it again, considering my setup is a little limited. So that's why my process takes longer than others you see. Hopefully I can upgrade at some point, but I just need to get busier in rugs, and of course have that revenue coming in for it to make sense. But the other thing that does help tremendously is when you guys watch these videos, you know, the ad revenue, just being honest, does help. It is helping the business in general. So I thank you guys for even sticking around and watching any of this content at all. Hopefully you learned something today. If you're a new rug cleaner, you know, hopefully it taught you something. I am still learning. There is a lot to these rugs. I do call up the instructors every once in a while and get their opinions on certain rugs, because, you know, you just got to know what cleaning agent or product in general to start with and what to end with, and you can get through just about anything with no problems, as long as you have the right tools at your disposal, which is mostly chemistry. Thanks to Kim Max and Cameron Mayfield is one person that helps me a lot. Kim Max guy, Paul Lucas, is amazing. If you are a rug cleaner, make sure you join the Rug Room on Facebook. They do a free information kind of thing, go over rugs and different things, topics on Wednesday nights. It starts at 5 p.m. Central, if I remember right. Anyways, join the Rug Room group on Facebook. You will not be sorry. People post in there daily of stuff that they're doing or asking questions. This is a free way to learn about rug cleaning. So hopefully that benefits somebody that is trying to get into this part of the industry. It has helped me tremendously, and the instructors, including Nathan, who is also in there, that's been at the classes. These three gentlemen are amazing, very helpful, willing to help you, no problem. And so I am grateful for them. With that being said, let's start rinsing. Wow, I wish I had better lighting right now. It is evening time, but this rug is looking so much better, and it's only gonna brighten up more once it dries out. But I can already tell these colors are starting to pop out more. It's those little baby reds. Those are what bled a little bit, but it all came out. Otherwise you'd see it in between the little designs, but there is none in there. So it was really good that I thought of the idea of first in, first out, explaining that a little bit, because it came into play here of why it's important. So I had did the dye release on top, flushed it, and then I started cleaning it with LST, flushed it out, flipped it over, did LST on the bottom, and then the dyes that were in deep down, I would think, when it was facing face down, it made its way to the surface. So when I brought it back over and started to squeegee, those dyes started to come out. So that's why it was good to have dye release pre-made up in these 5-gallon buckets to put it on here, and then of course rinse it again like I did and squeegee it a handful of times. So it ended up working out. So that's why it's always good to be ready to go with your products. So if you're going to have some color movement, that you can take care of it before it dries out. So, and the thing is you can't just walk away from the rug. If that starts to happen, you got to deal with it. So if you got a potential bleeder, make sure that you're dealing with it in the morning or in the afternoon after you've taken a lunch break, if you're going to, because you don't want it to sit and then of course dry into another area, because otherwise you're going to have to move to another product to try and get that out. So I'm glad that I chose to be cautious. It's always good to be cautious and go with your gut sometimes. If you think it's going to bleed, I didn't think it was going to at first, but I still was being cautious by having the product ready to go in case I needed it. So it was proven to be a good choice. Rugs like this, you should always be prepared for that. If you've got a better machine than I do as far as the buffer, like a Cymax, that can sit upright and not be a problem on the brushes, I would have your dye release in the tank, because if it starts to bleed, well then you can release it down into the brushes and start scrubbing it and using it to push those dyes out. I can do that on this. I just keep it in the buckets handy because I don't want those brushes being sat on and with the chemical and stuff in the tank causing me those bristles to bow out and wear faster. So that's the reason why behind it. Anyways, hope you guys have enjoyed this one. There's still more work to be done. I'm gonna comb out these fringes and check on them to see if they need any fringe cleaner, because they were actually a little dingy, so I may need to use some fringe cleaner to brighten those up some. And then obviously groom it out, and then I'm going to move it over to my dry rack and then put blowers on it. And after it dries out, I will be applying my protectant and then combing it again, and then finish drying it out from that stuff, and then it'll be ready to be sent back to my client on Tuesday. So we're going to be going to her house on Monday, Adam and I, to clean a bunch of travertine floors. So she had me take all the rugs ahead of the time, so that way we can clean the travertine floors, seal it, and then the next day I'm going to be dropping these rugs off back to her. So she'll have a nice clean floor and area rugs. So that's the ideal time to do it. So if you have more than just area rugs in your business, you do carpet, tile, and all that stuff, this is how you can get your foot in the door for that too. Like, hey, since we're going to have to move these area rugs to clean your floors, why don't we take them in, get them nice and clean, we'll store them, and we'll bring them back the following day if you can work your schedule out that way. And then boom, you got yourself some additional work to take care of. And you'll have a happy client because you've just told them that you can take care of more things in their home, and be confident that you're going to return them with a great product or service. And obviously that's better for you as a business, more revenue streams. You'll look like the professional to the client, and everybody wins. All right, so after some extraction, man, this looks even brighter. You get some of the moisture out. And this actually turned out really nice. I'm going to see what happens when it's completely dry. And if I got to clean it again, I got to clean it again. But, wow. Very satisfying to see how much nicer this looks. I wish I had brighter lighting in here to really make it pop, but I can tell there's a significant difference from what it used to be.